Hey guys, let me just get some coffee and we'll be ready to go. Hold on, I'm getting there. It's supposed to work perfectly this morning. And guess what happened? It did not. What? Where are we? Let's go. Let's get it. All right. Man, I hate them days off like that. I don't know what to do with them anymore. Like interact with people. Awful. All right. So you should be able to hear me. I'm going to just make sure of that because I've been having a lot of issues with StreamYard lately. That's good. I'm just going to hop right into a couple things here. Sunday, very clearly on Sunday, we're going to have this big event. If you don't know, now you do. They're going to do the robo taxi test. I would think it goes without a hitch, which means you're going to have a lot of people end of day that are going to want to own calls in this name, which probably means it pushes into end of day. That's really where my sense is of it, and I think that's how you need to live it. I don't see any reason for that to change, quite frankly. So it's definitely something that I would be paying attention to. It's certainly something that I think people should be paying attention to today, for sure. So, you're going to have to look at that and kind of make your own decision as to what you want to do there. But yeah, that's my sense of it. I personally think that I personally think that things are going to go off without a hitch. I would just watch this level and go from there. But could they have a glitch and it got down? Yeah, I just don't see it. I think that he spent enough time trying to fix it. That's kind of how I see this playing out. We should probably get into the indexes so that we're all on the same page. I don't know you're going to get world peace. It does seem like it really does seem to me, levels here's where we're going with this, that Iran, whether they're saying they want to work it out or not, we'll see. I personally have no idea, and neither does anybody else that's going to talk about this because nobody's an expert in this space. I have one person. Oh, background music's still playing. Thank you. Hold on. Oh, there you go. Background music's done. Thank you. I don't know why. Thanks, Aunt. Thanks, Lisa. So I don't know why John didn't say that. That's disappointing. Or the concierge. That's very disappointing. All right, cool. So background music should be gone. All right, great. Groovy. But one of the things that I want to say here about something like the ES, I have no idea if they're going to get this done or not. Apparently the reason that Trump went in was because they kept stalling. So, or agreed to with Israel, or however you want to pretend that we're not doing anything with that, is, it's definitely something that's an issue for me. They got to resolve this. What does resolving it look like? So I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I truly don't know what resolving this looks like. Is that regime change to them? I really don't have a clue. And I don't think anybody really does. Like, if you went to Israel and said, well, what does this look like? To me, it's the same thing with, like, I'm not getting political here. I'm just saying, like, I don't even know the plan with Gaza. What's the plan? Like, I'm not asking it to stir like this Middle East debate in there, but is that what we're going to be dealing with Iran? Because that's a problem, because Iran's way bigger. I don't think people know that 9 million people live in Tehran. Tehran, is that how you pronounce it correctly? So, they started bringing this guy out, the Shah's family, and where are we going with this, guys? So, I don't know. These are my NQ levels. But you're flagging, and then he made the comment like, "Oh, I'm ready for peace talks." Like, they've been in these talks forever, and as they were in these talks, they were actually ramping things up. This is what we're being told. I'm not in these meetings, neither are you. And I've got one guy that's actually in the room that actually is into this stuff, like heavily, and knows what he's talking about. And it does seem like that's kind of the line that, yeah, they were into this pretty deep with these talks. And while they're doing that, they're upgrading what they're doing. So the talks were seen as a stall tactic. I have no idea, and neither do you. So all we can do is watch what happens when they say things and watch what happens with the market. I do find it fascinating to watch this and look and say, like, hey, we can't get through now that you have those levels. I do think it's fascinating to watch this, and I'm going to clean off my 4,000 levels and understand that they are just buckshot all over traders. I mean, they are just buckshot all over them. But we're still at that level. We're itchy cut rates. You can't explain why. We've never gotten over that level. That was December 18th. And now you're at the low end of that. Now, if we start getting wicks that are closing like that, well, man, you're going to have my attention there. And that might mean that we're working it off. But, and I'll get into more on this on Saturday's video, you still have this 4 hour, but that 4 hour might be working off, but I'm not seeing it that way. So, yeah, you're just riding the lightning, as I like to say it. And you've been doing it for some time, all of June. And I think this is why I don't think people get this, that we've actually flipped to a stock pickers market. I'll get into it tomorrow in some detail, but you're in a stock pickers market, man, hands down. That's why you're going to see names like Circle and Coin that we're going to cover and in some detail here. But yeah, man, that's why those names are going to move like that. The ASTSs, the Rockets, like, you're in a stock pickers market. And when institutions start getting involved there, and go there. So it's definitely, give me 1 second. And so I just think you have to take this for a grain of salt. Like, you're in a stock pickers market. I do think you're also going to go through this thing with the SOX, where the SOX is going to revitalize. I don't think people get what's going on with semiconductors. We'll get into that later. Let's get you through Friday before I go off on one of my tangents and the ADD kicks in. But I do think that you have to look at this and say, hey, is this really what I want? Yeah, it's exactly what you want. This is exactly what you want. And, this is your level. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You don't need me to go, here's your level. I mean, you see it yourselves. So I'm not really adding a ton of value there. I do think there's value in this before we get into like the fun ones where everyone's going to want to talk about Circle and Coin. And so if I look at this 146 level and I go look at this on the weekly, and let me get rid of this for a second and just drop this down so that people get this. And I really look at this. I'm going to clean all this off. Like, that's a close. Like, That's a real close. And so what do I mean by that? Well, this was January, and this is when we got deep seeked. And this is where you were. So just to be really clear, the close of that, the absolute close, and you can see it up here as well, of that weekly bar, right? The high is 149, but where's your close? 142.62. I haven't had a close over that since it happened. This is going to be your first close actually over when we got deep seeked. Remember, all I need are 4 chips, a bag of Doritos, and a hamster. So, and I can just outperform anybody out there. Meanwhile, companies are spending billions, so maybe somebody's lying. I really think people need to understand that when they look at it and go, okay, well, what other times have we actually closed this high? And then when you really start looking at it, you'd be like, well, one. Oh, okay. So you have one weekly close. If you stopped and you don't even go anywhere else, you're going to have one weekly close of all time that's higher. And then you're going to look at this here and this undercut. And that's what you look like. And you're not even up here yet. Like, I don't think people get where this can go if their margins actually kick in the way they're saying they're going to kick in the second half. So it is what it is. They're ramping up. I would definitely be paying attention to this today. I wouldn't sleep on this. Let's get to the fun ones that all you crazy kids want to talk about. So let's talk about Circle. I do think there's some stuff here. I do think you have to start mapping this out on your levels. These are the levels that I have that I think are the most poignant for the day. People are going to tell me the stock's too high. Yeah, it is. How many other stable coins issuers are out there, right? And just mark off the 4 o'clock bar. That's the 4 o'clock, 4 to 4:05 bar. What I want is that one. And there are your levels. I'm long stock and I have calls and I sold puts. So yay me. What do I think? I've already trimmed the stock. I mean, you're going to be all over the place today. I think people will want exposure to it on an institutional level, and there's not a lot of shares outstanding. So they'll buy some and they'll hold it, and that's going to eat up supply. And so I do think that, yeah, I do think you can push. I do think you can keep going. I don't think off the open you're buying a stock. You should be buying a stock that's up 11%, but you know, it depends on how aggressive you want to be. I'm a net seller, and I've been a net seller this morning, and I will close the calls and the short puts that I did this morning. I won't even think about it. Like, it won't even faze me if it goes up another $10, $15. It's just, that's the game. And then you have to just wait for the next setup. Because eventually there's a down bar, and I don't know when someone's going to know when their, when's their lockup over? Anybody know? What's today? Should be able to figure it out, right? I think somebody said Monday. Are they right? So where are we here? You're 9 bars in, 13 days. I think you need 15 trading days, which will put you at Friday. I think it's 15 trading days. I don't think it's 15 days. I could be wrong on that. Someone else will know better than me right now. But I think someone said it's Monday, but I think it might be Friday because I think it's going to be trading days, but I could be wrong. I really could be wrong on that. Anyway, what gets it down? I don't know. People not wanting to spend $1 billion on, a share. Like, is it worth this? No. God, no. Does that mean you don't buy it? Of course you buy it. Fear and greed. I'm going to miss out. I miss everything. And then they buy it. Then wham. Hot pockets in the basement. So they're the key levels that I would watch. But just to be very clear where my head is, and I when I do these, I like to be forthright. I've been a net seller all morning. Like, I just am. And it doesn't mean that I don't believe in it. I do. I think it's going to be. I think stablecoins going to be absolutely huge. The one that I think is completely undervalued is just coin. I don't think people get this yet, like, at all. I think they're going to. I think they're starting to this morning. But coin's completely, like, if you really think stablecoins is going to be a thing and you're not buying coin, this was from the private newsletter 2 days ago. And to be very candid, I was down here looking at getting involved. And I just thought it was a simple cup and handle. I didn't see this coming, obviously. Just being candid, I didn't. I thought it was going to break out of this cup and handle. I didn't see this. Obviously, if I thought it was going to do that, I would have bought a heck of a lot more. But the question is, what do you do now with it? Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question, because if you don't have exposure to it, you're probably going to take out all-time highs, is my thought on that. And I'll leave that to myself. But you're definitely taking this out, and you're taking that out soon. And then it's going to get goofy, I think. But you're just starting, people are just starting to understand what's going to happen with this. And so my sense of that is you're going to want to think about it that way. So I don't think there's much to say or to do here. Now, people like buying this stuff in the morning when it's bidding up like this. Go for it. Like, that's not really what I'm into. Like, I would rather be on the other side of this and just waiting for it to come back down. I will be very candid. I've sold less on a percentage basis of coin than I did of Circle, because to me, the Circle's kind of goofy. And I have a lot of short puts and calls on Circle, so I wanted to drop that exposure. But I'd go look where max pain is on something like coin. You should be able to pull that up. See where max pain is. I think you have a shot at selling back down pre-300. I do. I think you have a shot at that. So it's how do you want to play it? How do you really want to play it? But to me, these levels are fairly solid, and we'll go from there. What else do we have here that's of interest that I want to go over? Tesla, we went over. Coin. I mean, these are going to be the big ones. Stablecoin. Tesla on the weekends. Nvidia, we went over. What else do I have here that's like super interesting that I really need to address? ASTS, people aren't getting this story yet. They're going to, though. So, I mean, I really do think that, I'm hoping you get some kind of pullback in this. I don't know that you are. I don't know you're going to get pullback in a lot of these names. Okay, hello, I want to see if you're going to hit that level. I wouldn't touch Visa, MasterCard if you paid me right now. We'll see how this goes, but they look like you're just going to rip everyone's head off again today. Oracle seems to be holding that 209, forming a flag in here, but they're all red. So do I want to buy the open? Probably not. Go from there. I am going to have to hop in the room early today, so let's just make sure that I get to this. And I am getting really close. Probably Monday, I have it all set back up, and we're starting at 8:15. So just set me up for 8:15. You can put the music on. But I'm setting up for 8:15. I should have the new mic working by then and the camera working again, the setup done after this weekend. The guy thinks he'll be done, so I think he will be too. But we'll see. But flattening, possible stage 2. Reddit. Yeah, let's go through some of this stuff. So the DraftKings is really interesting because you're setting up here. And I think if you're not looking at these smaller cap names now, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're going into football season too. You have a mini here. You could go. The question is, do you have the volume, and is this the one that you want to play, right? Because you only have, so much money, right? And so the question becomes, is this the one that you want to buy? Is this the one that you want to play? And I don't really, I don't have the answer to that just yet, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You're going in the football season, college football season, your earnings are going to ramp up, the stock's depressed. It usually is not like this going in there. It's usually a little higher and then comes back down into it. You're in the exact opposite position this year, which is super interesting. So I do, and this is going to be really pretty, where the 12, the 22, and the 55 are all aligned, John. Excuse the voice. And now you're back above what? Your 200, which you couldn't get above before. So yeah, I do think there's something to that. And I do think that it makes sense to get involved there. I do. I think it's worth paying attention to. So yeah, I'd watch this. I would definitely watch this and see how it goes. I do think that makes, I do think it makes a lot of sense. I really do. And I don't think that you need to, sweat it is a great way for me to say it. Like, I really don't think you need to sweat this. Like, it's a pretty simple trade, right? You break out, you're above the 200, you close below the 200, you get the heck out of it. Like, it's not really rocket science, right? So yeah, I do think that makes sense. I think it makes perfect sense to do something like that. What else do we really have here that I have to focus on that I think is super important on that? That's pretty much it. I do want to go through this because I think people need to get this about me when I talk, and I think it's super important. I could say something's a pig one day and then the next day like it. So just understand that. What I think is interesting about Reddit is I don't know if this fixes their problems or not. Like, I truly don't know if Reddit's problems get fixed by that or they don't get fixed by this. Like, I truly don't know. Give me 1 second here, guys. I see something I'm going to have to do. So bear with me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I can't miss this. Let me just see if this works or not. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay. Done. All right, good. All right, sorry about that. Give me 1 more second. So, all right, cool. So I want to be really clear about that. When I see things like this, it's definitely something that I want to pay attention to. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean I want to pay attention to it? Well, what I mean by wanting to pay attention to it is I think if you flip here, I think you could actually go on this Reddit. I do. And so I want to be really clear about that because someone brought it up the other day and I was like joking around when it was like, this was the bar. And I'm like, what, you don't love yourself? This is a completely different trade. So just understand that. I want to be really clear about that. So crystal clear that this changed on it definitely changed. I mean, on Wednesday, there's a very different outlook than what you had. So maybe this AI stuff works that they're doing, or it doesn't even matter. People are just going to give it a shot and see if it works. So I do think that there's something to that. And I do think that, it's definitely something to pay attention to. So, and we'll go from there. So let me just get to the next one. What else you got for me? DraftKings. Oscar, I didn't do this one. The guys in the room are doing this. They've been going nuts with it. They love this name. They started at like 15, 16. It's going. I don't really follow it. I'm not buying things that are up $3 like this. It's not really my kind of trade. And we'll go from there. But it's not really my kind of trade. It just isn't. So what do you got, Jay? Boeing, I wouldn't touch. I wouldn't touch it, man. I wouldn't, Kev. Good morning from Miami. Circle, I went over. UPST, I'd be careful of. Sofi, I think, looks beautiful. It's a slow mover, but man, like, just look how perfect this is. Like, you're dead right, Jay. I mean, left head, right neckline, breaks neckline, goes. Like, it's just so perfect. It's so pretty. You know, it's crazy. Right? I mean, it really is. Like, somebody's like, it's wonky cup handle, whatever. But it's really pretty. And then go from there. IBM looks great. Good morning from Chicago. Coin's going to be a beast. DRI, you know, I think the Tesla, you're going to see a lot of options today. I don't know what happened here. Did they kill it? Did they kill it on earnings? Is that what this is? You know, I keep hearing about this weak freaking consumer, but they're still going to Olive Garden, aren't they, and having yum-yums. So they don't seem too concerned, do they? I think that you really have to start understanding this coin stuff, the stable coin stuff. I really do. I think people are not getting it at all. They're going to get it when they start seeing like the earnings, but I think that they really have to pay attention. What's up, Ed? Yeah, I think that the biggest thing for me with XLE is that the way that this stuff usually works, like, look, the single greatest loss I've ever taken in my life was shorting like oil and the oil names. And I'm usually early, but if they got like world peace or a ceasefire this weekend and you're long oil names, no, I'm always early on this stuff. So to be very honest, like I had a position down here in Oxy. We bought here. I sold it when this pop happened. Actually, I sold it when it undercut 50, 45, 45, 35. So what I look at here is, and I'm watching this. Now, I'll be very clear about it. Like, that's not doing the reversal. And I know that Iran's dumping oil. Like, we know that they are. Like, we can see it, right? And I was talking to one dude this morning about it. So, like, we know they're going to dump oil because they need money. So the question then becomes, well, after they're done dumping, what happens to oil? And I don't know that the energy is the way to play it. Like when I start thinking about it, I start looking at like TNK or STNG, right? But then I also go and think like maybe it's the tankers because you load the tankers with the oil to get it out of Iran. So you need the tankers. So like you start taking up the tankers like FRL, right? And so because you need them. So usually when oil drops, the tankers get really busy. The other thing is if they shut down the strait, what's going to happen to like ZIM and Maersk? So there's a play there. I'm just not sure what it is yet. And I think you really want to come into the weekend, like flat on that, kind of go from there. I don't think you need to make a huge decision there. I really don't. I really don't think you need to do that. I think you need to kind of let that settle itself out. So HIMS looks amazing, and I think HIMS is going. I think if HIMS can flip in here, I think you're probably going higher. I mean, that's your value high area, but to me, yeah, I don't think you're going to break. I think if you flip this doji and you can close over this level, and I don't know if you're going to or not today. I truly don't. But I think if you can close over this level, that yeah, I think you're going to go. I think you're going to go higher. I really do. I just don't know if you're going to close higher or not. But I would be using, that doji as my guide. Like if I popped over the doji and then closed below the doji on the day, I'd want to be out of the trade. I don't know that that's what's going to happen here. To me, I've got the mother of all cup and handles. This is where they did that merger, and this is where you're at. So I like that. What's up, Shane? The thing with stable coins, like a stable coin, literally, I'll do it in 2 seconds, and I'll go over it Saturday's video and like detail so people get this. When people say stable coin, what you have to think about is this. It's the easy way to think about it. A stable coin has to be backed by US dollars and treasuries, which is why the Congress passed it, because now you have more demand by corporations for treasuries. It's also why they raised the cap requirements or lowered the cap requirements on, they lowered the cap requirements on banks, right? So that they have to go out and buy, they can buy more US dollars and they can buy treasuries. It's perfect, really. It's actually perfect for the government. It's a really smart move. Very rare you say that about Congress, but it was. So when you buy a stablecoin, the thing about it is the transaction happens a lot faster. So there's no, like the processing is hours, not days. In some cases, it's going to be minutes. It's a huge blow to like Visa, MasterCard when they pull this off. It's going to take time, like everything else. But when they do, it's game on. So keep that in mind. But will Bitcoin move on the stablecoin news? I don't know if that's your driving force there. I think it gets more people comfortable with stablecoins and coins in general. What I think that what you really want to focus on is that what I think, this is my sense of Bitcoin. So I'm doing this study and I can't tell you what it is because I still got it going on, but I'll tell you, maybe I'll know by tomorrow. I did this study like just to see where people are and their ability to want to hold Bitcoin. They don't want to sell their Bitcoin. They just don't want to give it up. So I think that Bitcoin's going to do its own thing, quite frankly. I see Bitcoin trying to work off the December 18th itchy bar, which every index is trying to do, right? If you look at this again, I mean, it's not rocket science. We cut rates. We don't know why. Up, over, hits it. It's like this bar is the nemesis of the entire market in every asset class. So yeah, it's an issue. I think it brings more people into stablecoin, right? Like that's what I think. I think stablecoin brings more people in. Let me leave it at that. What's up, Mitch? Yeah, Holly, it looks great. LEU looks great. AMD analysis. AMD looks great. Like it's not my trade. It's not what I would be trading, but I did do it the other day and I made money on it. You had a big inflection point here, like a big one. So just make sure you get through it. You can see the test here, the test here, the test, and the test, and you're failing it again. It's come a long way. I actually think the trades, I actually personally think the trade is Micron because of DRAM prices that are they're just exploding. So, and you're going into earnings, and earnings are probably going to be pretty interesting to see. So definitely something there that you might, want to pay attention to and just go from there. Let me just see what else we got here. Oh, we'll see how this goes here. Probably go out one more day. Let's see this. Yeah, cool. Perfect. All right. What else do we have here? You have a ton of volatility today. A ton of volatility today. What's up, Aaron? Oh, the music. Boomer, turn the music off. $2. I'll put that music on all day long. Thanks, Bob. Bump. Sounds good. Now you can hear. Yeah, that circle is going to be a real problem for shorts. Is there nothing to short on it right now? It's not shortable. There's no stock outstanding right now. And they raised their market requirements. Yeah, you're right. There's nothing to short right now. So interesting. Oh, is that what it is? Has an employee in the car, a tight geo fence, and VIP only admission. I saw it's VIP only admission. But they're going to have an employee in the car? Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. DraftKings does look interesting. Look, there's going to be a price for this stuff that makes perfect sense. I don't think it's now. I think you let this stuff all settle down and go from there. It's really hard to look at a chart like this where the RSI is here and the RSI is here. And I've got this major divergence, negative divergence, and then say, oh, I need to rush into that. Like, I'm not going near that thing. There'll be a price where it makes sense. It might be like 280, 290. I don't know. I don't know where that is. But we'll have to see that. We'll have to see where that, where that comes in. Yeah, that's kind of crazy that they're doing that. I saw that he had like a rocket launch that didn't go well. And I know why I get why Amex is doing well. Amex is not going to be affected by this. Do I watch order flow? Sometimes. I'm in Austin, but can you try to take one of the robo taxis? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I actually think it might go well, but people might be like, this is a joke, and they might not like it. But I do think people are going to try to play it into the weekend, and I think that makes sense. So you might want to look at it that way, but let's see how this goes. All right, guys, I got to jump. Trade to win. Have a great weekend.